Yo, Elliot, I've currently gotten over a lot of my effeminacy. It's still a daily struggle, but I feel as if I'm turning pro. I'm focused on my goals. All I care about is showing up daily, working hard, and recovery. It's not that I'm a hermit, still see my friends and make time to relax, but now I'm facing some trouble. There are parties coming up, and one part of me wants to go. Not to go crazy, but just to see my friends and show up at the celebration of a friend. However, what I also see is that this takes time away that I could be working, throws off my sleep schedule, and I currently feel laser focused on my goals. It's also a significant commitment as it's 2 hours away and I will have to stay the night. In your experience, do you look back on your 20s and wish that you went to the parties? Or are you glad you hustled instead? If I don't go, how can I handle this awkward growth away from my friends? Do new friends come along the way? Seems as if I'm alone in my pursuit at times. This is a good question. It's also a complex question, and I'm going to kind of like answer this out of the two sides of my mouth. Now, I'll begin with this because you asked me personally. You say, in your experience, do you look back on your 20s and wish that you went to parties, or are you glad that you hustled instead? Now, for those of you who don't know, I got married at age 23, started having children at age 24, moved to Florida, and I worked my face off until I became somewhat famous by 32, right? I became YouTube famous by that point. And so most of my 20s, I was working and I was raising my family. But I did go out. I did get hammered. I did go to parties, and I did have fun. Now, it wasn't every weekend. It was maybe once every other month. I was grateful to have met a few friends while I was here when I moved to St. Pete. And I would get away every once in a while, and I would go to a Halloween party. I remember doing that, or just random house parties. I was like, yeah, I want to get to know people in Florida. So I did spend 90% of my time in my 20s breaking my face, namely because I had a family. And so I think that changes everything for a young man. I get it. The world that we live in right now is not easy. Sometimes it seems like Elliot lives in a fairy tale, but it didn't feel that way. I was just focused. Things happened to work out for me. A little bit of work, but also a lot of grace from God. But by having children, by the time the end of my 20s, I had three daughters. I had three daughters by the time I was 28, right? So there wasn't much time, energy. There wasn't much for me. And plus I was being a strongman at the time. I was competing in strongman. I was building strength camp. So it wasn't even like I was sitting home being a hermit. I just didn't have the time. I didn't really have that much opportunity to do these things, right? I was married too. So it wasn't like I was out there looking for punani, right? And so if I did go, it was just to get with the boys. That's when I discovered country music too. And I was like, damn, I love this country music. Guys used to take me to this place called the Watering Trough. It was like a saloon, right? They'll play country music and drink beer. And I thought that was fun. I went a couple times. So, you asked me my situation. Now, I don't wish I would have had a different experience in my 20s. I don't feel like I missed out on anything because, in fact, playing the long game, again, I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but in retrospect, I can tell you, I had much more fun making up for lost partying in my 30s than in my 20s. Let me tell you what I mean. By the time I was about 32, right, I told you that's when I started hitting my stride. I started making money. My last child was born, already 2 years old at that time, so my wife was no longer perpetually pregnant. We had a nice rental house. We were living close to downtown. And from the age of 32 to 36, basically, 4 years, right? Think about it. If you're 20 or 24, from between 24 and 28, 4 years is a long time. For about 4 years, me and my wife kind of made up for not being out there. And so she and I would go. This is when strength camp was really just cracking and starting to blossom. So we'd have strength camp meetups. We'd we'd do a workout on Friday, and then me and the boys would go have cigars afterwards. And then my wife would come and meet me at the cigar bar, all dressed up. She would wear a nice dress and stuff. And then we would go have dinner, and then we would go and I guess you could say party, right? We would go to the club. And meanwhile, we're like the king and queen because we're like 10 years older than everybody. And we have means, right? We have money and we're well established. We already have our kids and we got to really enjoy ourselves with it was a different type of way of experience ourselves because we were grown up. And then at the same time, a lot of my friends that I went to high school with about that same time, that's when they were getting locked down. So they were making babies in their 30s and they were trying to, they were being more monk mode or focus mode in their 30s. By the time they were getting focused, I was halfway retired, right? I was already like, damn, I did quite a bit. I can relax a little bit. And I did that. I let myself become a little degenerate in my mid 30s. Because I was like, I'm gonna make up for that lost time. And it wasn't like an animosity thing at all. It was not like, oh, now I'm gonna get mine. I did all that work, now I'm gonna get mine. It wasn't like that at all. It wasn't like that at all. It was, in fact, it was a lot of being able to enjoy my wife in a way that we haven't enjoyed ourselves for a long time, right? I just got to watch her dress up and put on makeup. She didn't dress up and put on makeup. She wore muumuus for like 6 years. Because she was always pregnant or nursing, right? And it didn't bother me. I was like, well, that's the way it was. So, but then all of a sudden, that's when I was buying fancy clothes, right? I was like, I got to do this. I got to give this a try. It lasted about 5 years, and I was like, all right, I'm done. Right? So I got it out of my system. I liked the way I did it. I wouldn't go about it any other way. But you're probably not in my situation, right? You say, if I don't go, how can I handle this awkward growth away from my friends? Do new friends come along the way? I think you should go. I think if it's a 80-20 rule, right? Like I said, even when I was busting my face, for me it was like 90-10. I still gave myself 10% to go and be a little degenerate, right? I made a video a couple weeks ago where I said God calls us to be perfect, and I believe that. But I also believe that giving yourself a little bit of a break, bending a little bit every once in a while, kind of keeps you humble, keeps you normal. When I say humble, you could get very proud about yourself. Now you say you're not hanging out with your friends, you're on hustle mode, and then you know what starts to happen? You get sour grapes, and you start having animosity, and you start getting FOMO. But FOMO could turn into anger because then it's like you see your friends, you see the pictures. I don't think you need to go through that. I don't think you need to suffer from that. I don't think there's going to be any benefit to you not doing that. You said that it's a 2-hour away trip. You know what that means? That you're not going every weekend. It's a 2-hour away trip, right? So what is it? 48 hours? For 48 hours, you'll be with your friends. You have a good time. You go home, and then you close that book. It's done. Like I said, I was going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. One side of my mouth says, hey, it's good to grind, but I had a family. That's the biggest difference. I had a family. You don't have a family yet. But then the other side of my mouth, I'm saying go. And I think you should go. My opinion is you should go. You don't need to be a hermit. You don't need to be a recluse. You don't need to be not, especially if you like your friends, you don't have to be distant from your friends, but you create boundaries. You basically say, oh, okay, I'm going to come this weekend, but then when I go home, it's over. And that's really the key. The key is to to have the flow within the structure. You know what that means? Have flow within the structure. It means you have a structure. You're structured. You're ordered. You order your life, but you also create a little bit of wiggle room. A little bit of wiggle room because you're a young man. It's good for you to get out there and socialize, right? I think one of the problems, it's so funny because like these problems creep up. Then all these problems are a result of good intentions. It's so funny, right? They say good intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I see the good intention. In fact, I promote the good intention behind hustling, working, putting your head down, and getting your shit done and building yourself up as a man in your 20s, right? I do. I believe that. But it's a double-edged sword because at the same time, some of the problems I see you guys have is that you're socially awkward. So, on one hand, you could be proud of yourself that, hey, I don't go out. I don't have friends. I don't talk to girls. I grind. I work. I'm building my business. I'm building my brand. I'm doing my thing. I'm hustling. That's good. That's okay. But that's too much structure, not enough flow. At the same time, like, it's good to know how to talk to people. Like, for example, I told you last night I got to meet my neighbors, right? And I have been I've been such an introvert, meaning like since we moved, my life has been kind of turned upside down, and I haven't really been getting out much, and I get kind of awkward socially. Believe it or not, Elliot gets awkward socially, right? Because I'm not talking to people. And so I made an effort when we went to the neighbor house last night. I was like, I'm going to talk. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to listen. I'm going to remember names. I'm going to be a social person because I need to practice that. And it's funny because like on our way home, because Colleen knows me too, right? On our way home, I asked Mom, I was like, was I a social? Was I being social? Did I do a good job? Was I being a good boy? And she said, yes, you were very social. She said you were asking questions and you were listening. And I was like, wow, good, because I need a little bit of damn practice. I need a little practice, right? I don't get out enough. I'm behind the screen. That's the other thing too. You know, a lot of you guys, you're hustling and you're working in your brand or your business, or you're working behind the desk at home. That's nice. I wanted that. But it also robs you of the experience of being around other people and working. I think in a way it's kind of hiding. I think in a way it's kind of like hiding by, and it's with a little bit of pride because it's like, well, I'm just hustling. But I still think we need to get out. I still think, you know, it's good to go learn how to talk to girls, right? In your 20s, don't try to nail down a girl, right? Like it's tough. That's tough for you guys. I understand. Like this generation is weird, but you should know how to talk to them, right? Without you having butterflies in your stomach and choking every time you speak to them and your palms sweating, right? They're not gods. They shit and fart and have bad attitudes too. So it's important to get out there and practice your social skills. This may be an opportunity for you to go out there. You know, you've been working hard for months. Go and practice your social skills a little bit. It's good. It's good. It's good for you. So I hope that helps, bro. Done.
Yo, it's your bro, Elliot. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, you ought to know that it was a clip from one of my most recent King Transformation classes with my students, where, among other things, we get together about 4 or 5 hours a week and we speak on things as it relates to becoming kings in our lives in fitness, business, and with women. If that sounds like you and you want to join a like-minded group of men who are growing stronger every day, in every way in this degenerate age, then it's real simple. Just follow me on Instagram and then DM me the word King, K-I-N-G, and then me and my team will get back to the details to see if you qualify. I really hope to see you at the next meeting. Done.